Welcome back once again to Jack's Tech Corner. This is Photography Weekly, episode number 33. Coming up in today's show, actions and what they are and how do they help your workflow in Photoshop Elements. Next, using textures to enhance your backgrounds. What? Are you crazy? Well, I think we can do this and pull this off this morning. Next, if we have time, we're going to talk a little bit about truth, about light, and flash. We've been talking about this through several shows, and we're going to continue talking about flash until everybody gets it down pat, and we're ready to go. So with that said, let's go ahead and get started here with episode number 33. Okay, gang, well, welcome back here once again to another great episode here for another Sunday morning gathering around the computer terminals here. If you didn't come in earlier, I see we have a M-S-A-N-C-R in there now. Good morning to you. Yeah, where is Kevin this morning? Kevin, where are thou? We don't know. Jessica, if you want to send him a shout out maybe on Facebook or on Google+, maybe he'll come around there. He is a mainstay here of the show. He's been here with you guys for a long time. So with that said, we're going to go ahead and... Oh, now we lost Jessica. What the heck? Every time I go to talk to somebody, it seems like we lose them out of the chat room. So maybe I better just be quiet and just move ahead here and try to forge ahead. Okay, Jessica, you're back on the channel. I see you again. So there you go. So we are going to talk about some stuff today that's pretty important. It's not a make or break situation for you at any means, but you know, this show is based on, can we help you? Can we help you learn something new and bring something new to your photo editing? And I think this will. I think this will help you along and get you up to par or maybe exceed your expectations with Photoshop Elements. A few weeks ago, we talked about Photoshop Elements, and people said, Jack, Photoshop is so much better. And we went over that. So if you want to see that, look back a couple shows, and you'll see where I show you the two different programs and how Photoshop Elements is plenty for what you're going to be doing. Because you are all famous photographers, and you're capturing everything in camera. We don't do a whole lot of editing just to play around and make our pictures more exciting. But basically, we capture really great images, so you don't have to edit to fix them. So that's something to think about. So today we're going to talk about actions and what are actions. What is an action? I don't know if you've ever used actions before, but an action is basically a predetermined or preset type of add-in for Photoshop Elements that does something to your photo that's predetermined. Now today I'm going to show you a website here that I found a while back that a lot of my colleagues use in photography, and we talk about a lot. It's a great site, a lot of free downloads on it. And then I'm going to talk to you about another one here that they have a lot of paid actions. So if you want to pay for some actions, you may want to talk to these folks at this other website I'm going to introduce you to. These are two websites that I like to see and I like to use. But there's many more. There's tons of them out there that you're going to find that you can actually use. So let's go ahead and get started right away here and start looking at some actions. So I'm just move my screens around here a little bit so we can get this set up here. And I will post these websites too as we come along here. Let me just do this window. That looks good. Just bring this up. There we go. So here's the first website I want to talk to you about. I don't know if you've used it yet or not. If you've done anything with it. Let's see if I can bring it up even more full screen there without me in it. There we go. It's called the Coffee Shop Blog. Now the Coffee Shop Blog is done by a really great, I believe it's the female here, I think. I haven't really talked to them, but I tell you what, this is a place you can go to and you can get some tutorials on different Photoshop techniques. But what I like to do is go to the free stuff here. Once again, if you're following along on your computers, thecoffeeshopblog.com. And if we go to free stuff here, we'll look down here. I'm going to try to blow this up a little bit. Let me see here. We like to do this on the show here just to show you. There's actions and presets, and that's the first thing we're talking about is what we can do with actions. Then there is textures and digital paper. That's the second part of this tutorial this morning. So we are going to be working with this website to download some actions and presets, and I'm going to show you how to install those actions onto your computer. Now, there's some different ways to install the actions on your computer, and I think what I'll do is post I think I can repost maybe on our show notes. So if you go to jackstechcorner.com and look under show notes, I'm going to try to post the actual files there. And these files actually came from the next website I'll show you, and the person there did say that we can redistribute those files. But it'll tell you how to install an action step by step. I'm going to be showing you today on the Mac. So if you have a Mac, you can follow along. If you have Windows, I may be able to walk you through that because I've installed a lot of actions on my Windows computers. So we should be able to walk through that. But if I get stuck, we can always refer to that paper. So we are looking at actions and presets right here. Now, there is a lot of actions here. And what I like about this site is, as far as I found, they're all free. So it's free actions. You got like a Polaroid effect, which we talked about a while back. And if you click on this, scroll down here, it's going to give you the Polaroid effect. And we can do this now based on an action. Look down here. It says download the Coffee Shop Polaroid effects under the media file. So if you click here, you can actually download it. Let's take a look at that. And here it is. So to download this, they're apparently using this media file as a file storage area. To download it, you would just simply click right here, download. And then we need a place to put this file. All right. So we need a place to put the file to. Now, if you're on Windows or on a Mac, it doesn't really matter. I'm still going to show you how to download a file. So click on Save File, click OK. Must be an advertisement going on there. So what I did was, I made a folder here under Elements, under Downloads, under Elements, and then Actions, and we'll just save it right there. Okay, so we downloaded the action is what we did. Now if we open it up, we're going to click on my downloads, where I download them to. And just like I said, make a folder so you always know where you're downloading your actual actions to, or your textures. So mine is under Mac software, because it's on the Mac, and Elements, and then I made one called Actions and one called Textures. So we're going to go to Actions, and the one we just downloaded was the Polaroid effect. So we're going to open this. You have to extract it. So it's zipped up, and I'm not going to go into a lot of that because I'm sure everybody here knows how to do extractions, where you understand it. If you don't, email me, and I'm sure I can tell you how to do that. But on the Mac, it's called the Archive utility, and since Windows XP was released, it's called uncompress. So you would just do send to and then uncompress it. So there we have it, and it is right here. Coffee Shop Polaroid effect. So if we click on that, then we have them over here. The only thing I found is sometimes with having the newest Photoshop, you might run into some issues. So we have them right here. This is the action, ATN, that's an action. JPEG represents the picture that you're going to pick out in your actions panel. That's what that is. And then you have the PNG file, which is another picture for Photoshop Elements to recognize it. So we're going to click all three of those. Right click on it, we're going to copy those. Now when you're working on, like I said, this is the Mac, I will go to the Mac hard drive, library, application support, and I will put a link to this also in the show notes on jackstechcorner.com, just so you could find it there. Under application support, then we are going to put it under Adobe, and then go down here to Photoshop Elements. And you can see here I got version 8, 9, and 10, but we're going to put this in my version 10. Photo Creations, and then Photo Effects is where it's going to go. And you'll see a lot of the other ones in there, a lot of actions here and PNGs and XML files. So you'll see a lot of stuff in there. I know it's very hard to see on the video, and I'm sorry about that. Let's see if we can pull it up here a little bit. If you can see those. But I'm going to just change that to icons so I can paste it in there. We're going to right click and just paste the items in here. So now that they're in there, the new action is there. We have to set up the database to allow the action to be seen, is what happens now. So let's go back here. Go back up. Now you have to go under local, and this is the same thing under Windows, but under Windows you will find it, you have to show hidden folders and files, and it's a little bit trickier, but it's not very undoable. It's very doable. But you have to go in here and go into US, and what we're looking for here is our metadatabase. The reason is that metadatabase holds all the information for your Photoshop Elements. Everything's in there. All the actions, where all the presets are, the actions or the textures or the graphics that you're using. So what I want to do, it's said that you can delete that. I never like to delete a database file. I get very uptight about that. So I just put a 1 after the base and hit enter. All right. Because it's just renaming it. Now what we're going to do is we are going to go ahead and open up our Photoshop Elements 10 editor. So let's go ahead and do that. We're going to open it up here. And as it's opening up here, then we'll just click on Edit and open the editor up. And I can only hope and keep my fingers crossed that this will work, because sometimes these actions may work good on one version, but on another version they may not. Now you see right here, and don't get excited when you do this, because your computer's going to come up and it's going to say Adobe Photoshop Elements, building content and effects is what that says. It's rebuilding that database. That's why they say you can delete it, but I don't like to do so. I really get really skeptical when I try to delete things like that. Don't want to do that. There you can see it rebuilding. It's building our content and our effects, and we'll get those going there. Not a whole lot of chatter this morning in the chat room. Everybody must be very interested in this topic. They're concentrating where you all left and went to get some coffee and some donuts. And by the way, thinking about Kevin there, he graduated from college this past week. Maybe he already got a job and he's working this weekend. That would be great. That would be a very good thing for Kevin. I know he's been trying really hard to break into the technology field, so that'd be great. And it takes a little bit of time here to build these effects up, but it's looking at all the content and it's trying to build the effects back together there. So that's what we're working on here. So this particular effect, if it works out okay for us, what it may do is, what it might actually do is give us the ability to make that Polaroid that Jessica asked about a while back. I did do a video on adding brushes also, and we can possibly look at that. It's the same kind of steps, so I'll give you that. All of it is working out the same way. You still have to rebuild that database each time you add anything to your element. So when you're adding brushes, it works out the same way. But there's two ways you can add brushes, and we'll go into that in that video. Speaking of the devil, Ron, thank you very much. You alerted me to the chat window. Good morning, Kevin. Been a long anticipated wait for you to get in here, my friend. A lot of people have been asking, where have you been this morning? Good morning. Okay, Serena, you're saying it's a little bit confusing, but you will figure it out. You mean about adding this action? Kevin is now known as Unidentified 34844. That's cool. Slept in. I did too, man. I slept good this morning. Okay, it looks like everything's ready to go here. So what I want to do is, if it works out all right for us, we're going to open up a picture. And let's go down here. We're going to open up a picture here. And hopefully this will work. Let's see here. Let's grab one of these. I'd like to grab one and make sure she looks really happy. You know, when we're photographing our children, they don't always look thrilled about the whole thing. I did like this one. I thought this one looked really nice. So I thought this one was really good here. I mean, the light didn't quite fire the way I wanted to, but she's at least having fun. So that's a good thing. So hopefully if it showed up, it's going to be in here. And we'll have to pull this down, look for that JPEG that we put in there. Like I said, this is Photoshop Elements 10, so if it took it, I don't know. Because you have to worry about the people updating their actions with each copy of Photoshop Elements. Or Photoshop for that matter. And it did. It's right here. Polaroid effect. So it is in there now. So I went back to free stuff. And I'm going to come down here and I'm going to look at textures and digital paper. And there's a lot of it here. A lot of different papers and textures. But what we're going to talk about is using a paper kind of as a texture. So I chose this Weather Vintage paper. Excuse me. Papers here. And if you click on there, and you look down through here, you can actually go down through and you can download the Coffee Weather Vintage paper set here. Or if that link doesn't work, you can go through the MediaFire again. So I already downloaded. I clicked on here, and you download the set to your computer. Let's click OK. Now for here, though, I made another folder called Textures, and there it is. So I'll just download it again. Yeah, I'll replace it. Now once that's done, all we got to do is right-click on it. You can do this in Windows too, you know. You can show in Finder or show in Windows Explorer. Right-click, and we're just going to extract it. So what you get here are these different papers. So these are actually JPEG pictures. There's a lot of ways you can put these into your organizer or iPhoto, whatever you're using. There's a lot of ways to put these in there to use them. But what I thought I would do is I'm just going to take one of these and let's see here. Something we can work with that background. Maybe the evergreen. And we're going to open that with my Elements 10. So remember now, these are just JPEG pictures we're working with. Okay, it's open there. Get back here to elements 10. Not that one. There we go. So now we have this piece of paper opened on our screen here. Now, what we're going to do now, though, is we're going to open up another picture to use with this, because we have to merge the two together before we can use this to make the background a little different. So let's go to File and Open. And I'm going to try to use the picture I was using before. I may actually want something brighter, so I'm going to use this one here. So here's a picture. We have a blue wall in the background. So we're going to go ahead and use that wall, and we're going to change it a little bit. So what we're going to do is we're going to select this picture, the paper that we downloaded. We'll do a select all. So we did a select all, edit, and we're going to copy it. Now what we're going to do is go back to our picture and do an edit, and we're going to paste it. Okay, now the first thing we have to do is we can see there it doesn't really fit well. So you're like, wow, that's nice, Jack, but there's a problem. It doesn't fit well. Of course it doesn't. Let's resize it. So we'll resize it. And as you notice, guys and girls out there, I always pull from the corners because I don't want to distort anything in there. So you always want to pull by the corners. Just put it where you want it. Adjust it. And now you said, well, that's okay, Jack, but wow, you just covered up your picture. You made a mess. That is absolutely useless. Of course, you get a good laugh, I guess, when you go to get it printed somewhere. Say, I like to print this picture of this girl with this beautiful backdrop. Well, they'll be like, well, you got a picture of the backdrop. So let's go ahead and keep moving on. What you want to do now is we have to do something to that layer to show the picture underneath. So we're going to change the layer, and you can try different ones of these layer styles. Let's go with multiply. Multiply, you can see, put that green texture on top of the girl too. Don't worry, we're going to take care of that in just a minute. We're going to remedy that. We can try a different one here. That's multiply. Screen sometimes works. So you got the pattern in the background now. So that's kind of neat because now we have a pattern from that paper, but we don't have a whole lot of the green except a little tint on her. And we'll deal with that. Okay, and then you didn't get much further. So Jessica, hang on there. We're going to keep going here. We're going to look at a couple more of these. Overlay. You can overlay it. Now you got the blue and you got that pattern coming through. And I like that look. That looks really, really neat. But the problem we still have, folks, is it's still on her. We don't want the pattern to be on her. So we got to do something to fix that. Now, the only thing I could think of when I was playing around with this tutorial is like, how would we fix that? The easiest way I could think of is, thank God for a layer mask. So if you have Photoshop Elements 9 or 10, the layer mask comes with it. Anything below 9, you have to fake it out, and you would use basically one of the adjustment layers, and then you can get a mask, and then you can work with it. So let's click on Layer Mask. Click on the Layer Mask here. Now what we want to do is flip this to black. We have to paint with black to reveal. We've all used layer masks 100,000 times because Jack is a mask nut because I love layer masks. Grab a brush. Make the brush a little bigger or the size, and just start cleaning your person up. You want to get that stuff off of the person, but we want the background to be left alone. And this is kind of a quick rendering here, but we're going to try to get this done here nicely. This is where the Wacom board or the Wacom boards come in handy. The bamboo boards, you know, where you can have the pen to do the outlining, but mine is in the bottom of my desk right now and not hooked up. And you're like, I can't believe it, Jack. You could even maybe go over that chair too where she's standing by. It's black anyway, so it's not really showing it a whole lot. Make my mouse a little, or my brush a little bigger here. Just go over here a little bit more. So all we're doing here, we're just taking the top portion off of her and painting back to the back of the picture, or the bottom layer, to reveal my daughter here and get the texture off of her. So there you have it. So now in the background, you can see you still have the texture there. The texture is still there from that paper or texture, whatever you're using. So it's still there, and you still got that on the wall behind her. And if you click on the texture, you can still play around with it. You can do a soft lighting, and you're not affecting her anymore. Pin lighting, that just kind of leaves it green. Screen dodge. Color burn, that's too much. Or the multiply, you can see that she is still there. If you make a mistake and you say, wow, Jack, it looks like she has a halo effect going on, hey, just flip it down here. Stay on your brush. Make your brush size a little smaller. And remember to, you can always blow up that part of the picture. Let's do this. To make it easier to work on them, get your brush back in there. Lower your brush size down. Oh, make sure you flipped onto black. And you can go back over there and actually bring that back out. Well, and also make sure you clicked on your mask and not the painting itself. Yeah, let's undo those. Okay, so you want to click on your mask here. Make sure you're painting with white. Then you can bring that green back out. So, the primary thing with layers, and everybody understands, is make sure you clicked on what you want to work on. So if we're working on that mask, make sure you clicked on the mask and not on the layer itself, or not on this background, because then you start painting that background. So, and there you go. So that is how that is actually completed, or what I would do to actually take care of that. Once you're done, just go to View, Fit to Screen. And like I said, I still really don't like that multiply. I think it's too dark. Screen is pretty nice. That kind of takes it back too much. Soft light. But you can see the pattern is still revealing through there. Very much so. And we'll just go back to multiply. So there you have it. So thank you everyone once again for joining me here at Jack's Tech Corner and Photography Weekly, episode number 33. We are sorry if there was some lagging within the show, but hopefully if you're watching this on YouTube, you'll notice that all that is cleaned up and gone away. So it's very easy to follow this on YouTube. So there's always a rerun that you can watch. So we will see you next week, and keep up with the actions. Download some of those actions from that website, the coffeeshopblog.com. It's good people there. They write some very nice actions. They have a lot of nice free stuff free to use. And don't forget, using textures to enhance your backgrounds, another great aspect of Photoshop Elements, that you can do that and use layers and layer effects and layer styles to mash them layers together and make them come out really interesting. And I think you're going to do a good job with that. We didn't really get to talking about Flash today. We will hopefully get around to that tomorrow or next Sunday. As I said, my model actually left for the day. She went to see the new Twilight movie. So there you have it. I mean, you have a model. You're either going to do some photography with them, or they're going to go watch Twilight. And Twilight definitely won out over modeling for me today. So until next week, as always, folks, keep those shutters clicking, keep the editors editing, and I'll see you back here next week for episode number 34. And this is closing out of episode number 33. Bye for now.